After almost 6 months of work on 0.3, I finally released it to my internal Discord beta testers, well, alpha testers, I guess. This release has been a tremendous amount of work, but the weird thing is that if you've been following along, you might not actually notice a lot of difference between 0.2 and 0.3. That's because I went through and I did a ton of rewriting. I mean, I'm talking something like 20,000 lines of code in the final code changes, but the reality is it actually wasn't just that. I rewrote some systems 2-3 times. That was a lot of work, of course, but I'm pretty happy with where the code base is now. Of course, there's always things that I can improve, but it's way, way better. And I'm excited to move forward and start adding some features again. But first, I should probably explain to you what Into the Dawn is. So as you can probably see on your screen right now, as you're watching this, it is a combat helicopter game. Kind of a simulator, although it isn't like super hyper realistic, but it's also not an arcade game. Like, the game actually has quite a bit of realism built into it, but it's not intended to be a full Apache simulator. It's a game, and I want it to be a lot of fun. When I was a kid, way back in the 90s, my dad bought a computer, and he also bought a game called Gunship 2000. This was made by a company called Microprose, and that was a lot of fun. I loved that game. It was just a fantastic game. I always wanted to make my own helicopter game. I've been coding since I was 12. I love making little games. Nowadays, I don't do games. I own a company that builds mobile apps. I've always wanted to make a game and actually sell it. And so about 15 months ago, in I think it was about May or June 2024, I decided to start making my combat helicopter game. I decided to use Godot, which is a game engine, and that's what you see here. I wanted it to be multiplayer. So there's a lot of games out there that are single player, especially indie games. Turns out building a multiplayer game is a lot of work. It's very, very difficult. I would say that I would be much, much further along if I did not make it a multiplayer game. I have spent a tremendous amount of time making it work and work well and efficiently. In fact, I've rewritten the multiplayer system, I think probably 8 times, because every time I think, I can do this better. And the built-in tools are fine in Godot, but they're not very fleshed out, and so I've had to kind of build on top of them. But to start with, it's you and your helicopter, and you can bring your friend along as your gunner, and he can sit in the same helicopter as you, or your friends can jump into their own helicopters. I'm going to have, at least to start with, I'm going to have a flight of 4, up to 8 players, 2 in each helicopter. And I have run some tests that indicate that it performs decently well, even with 8 players, which makes me very happy. Now we've got some tanks ahead of us, some T-55s. These are just kind of placeholder enemies for now. You can also see that I'm flying a night mission, and I have my NVGs on, so you can see I have night vision on. A lot of Apache missions are flown at night, so there will be a fair amount of Apache missions that you will be flying. You're going to be flying in the dark most of the time. So I want to make it kind of more of a comfortable thing. Obviously, you're going to see me get beat up here a bit as I go try to take on these tanks. They're a little too good right now. I'm going to make the AI, maybe there's going to be kind of a graduation of AI. And when I'm talking about AI, I don't mean like the new ChatGPT level AI. This is the AI I programmed into the game. But there's going to be the low-level troops that are very green and inexperienced, and then you're going to have the elite troops that if you try to take them on, they're going to be very, very difficult. You'll also have a lot more weapons at your disposal, of course, and your wingmen will actually fire and help you out. But yeah, I actually have spoken to several U.S. Army former helicopter pilots at length. So I have 2 former Apache pilots, both captains, who were in charge of AH-64 Apaches. They flew combat missions. They are very, very amazing guys. Just really love getting to know them and learning their stories and also being able to ask them questions. And I've actually made some pretty significant changes to how the game works based on what they've said. I thought I knew a lot about Apache helicopters, but it turns out that when you talk to guys that have flown 200 missions and really know their stuff, they have quite a bit of insight, and it's been really, really cool to have them as technical advisors on this. I also have some fantastic Blackhawk pilots, UH-60 Blackhawk pilots. The Blackhawk is going to be in the game. You're going to be able to fly it. I'm going to have cargo missions, rescue missions, but there's also going to be the deep action penetrator Black Hawk, which will allow you to actually carry Hellfires and rockets and all those things into battle with a Black Hawk. And the nice thing is that if someone gets shot down, you can pick them up. That's definitely going to be a part of the game. If you get hit, and you'll actually see a little bit later in this video that we do get hit pretty hard, and we actually switch into a different Apache helicopter. We land, and you'll see this happen. But it's been really great to have actual U.S. Army helicopter pilots that I can bounce ideas off of and potentially fly with them at some point and get their feedback. The general premise of the game is that the U.S. has been attacked. We've been invaded. I live in kind of southwest Washington state, and I grew up in this area, and it's going to be set in this area, kind of like northwest of Portland. You've got the Columbia River. You have some really kind of rugged, hilly terrain. The weather is kind of rainy and overcast a lot. And someone landed on our shores and is invading. You've been called up to provide, helicopter support to our troops in the area to hold back the enemy. The enemy is going to be Soviet-era tanks and APCs and infantry and things like that. This doesn't necessarily mean that it's Russia invading us. It's going to be kind of an unnamed enemy, but they're going to be invading, and they're going to be coming fast at us. And there will be a lot of targets, and there will be a lot of missions. You start out as a warrant officer candidate, which is sort of like ready to start training. There will be a training mission, and you'll be promoted after the training mission, and then you can start flying missions. There will be a campaign system as well. I haven't totally worked out how all that's going to work, but essentially a campaign will be a series of missions where there's a particular objective, and you're trying to kind of push them back, and there's some persistence. Perhaps it's just one big campaign. I haven't really figured that out yet. That's going to come in some future update, of course. But as you go, you can fly missions, and of course these are either by yourself with AI wingmen. The AI already works pretty decently. I haven't obviously fleshed it completely out, but they can fly on your wing, and they do a good job of not crashing all the time and things like that. You can load out your Apaches, Blackhawks, Kiowas, Defenders. There's going to be different helicopters to fly. The era is kind of fuzzy. I'm kind of thinking of it as being roughly between 2010 to 2020 is kind of my era. So just like a decade ago, not like in the future, not a long time in the past, kind of pre-drone. There's a lot of drones happening in various conflicts. I don't want to bring in drones for this. This is going to be more helicopter centric. I want it to be a lot of fun. So this is an era where there's a lot you can do with a helicopter. And over time you get promoted and you receive medals, kind of be put into a position where maybe now you actually have a flight of helicopters. You have more than just your helicopter. You may have 3 other helicopters with you. Anytime that you're flying a mission, you can have it be multiplayer. You can invite your friends to come in and they can get promoted as well. You could have someone be your gunner, you can have someone be a wingman, or you could be their wingman. You can jump into their campaigns. It's very fluid that way. Jump into a lobby and just go flying. You plan out your missions, so you're going to have a map. I don't have that built yet. There's a kind of basic version of it that I'm working on right now for 0.4, but you'll be able to plan out a mission and actually put in waypoints and have the mission will have a particular objective. You're going to have a primary objective. You're going to have a secondary objective. You're going to maybe send your wingmen, because you can direct where they go. So you can say, okay, these 2 wingmen go this direction. I will go this other direction, maybe with the other wingman. I'll take out the primary, and my AI wingmen or maybe my friends are going to go take out the secondary. And if someone gets beat up, then they just head home and they go get fixed at the base and can come back. The game, though, is intended to not be like super long missions. You'll see that this one's probably, 20-minute mission or something. I did chop some of it out, so the video might end up being a little less. I don't want you to have to sit here playing for hours and hours and hours. Of course, it'd be fun, but if you do that, it's going to be multiple missions. This is the type of thing where you can actually play on your lunch break. This is for real people. This is a game for people with lives. This isn't just a game. I'm sure teenage boys with lots of time are going to love the game, hopefully. That'd be really cool too. But it's designed for people like me. I'm 43 years old. I'm a dad, I actually am a grandpa. I have a granddaughter. I have things to do. I got to go work on the house. I got to do other things. I have to be able to pause the game. You can pause the game. Even in a multiplayer session, you can pause the game. Or you can step away and allow an AI to take your place if your buddies don't want to wait for you. So there's a lot of different little nuances like that where it's like, okay, let's go fly one mission on our lunch break. It's going to be half hour, it's going to be 45 minutes, and we're done, and we can go back to our day. It's not going to be the type of game that just sucks you in and like tries to keep you as engaged as possible forever. That is not my intention at all. I do want you to love the game. I want you to play it a lot. I want you to look forward to playing your one mission of Into the Dawn, or maybe two if you have time per evening or something like that, and kind of enjoy the progression and all those things. I want that. I want to see that happening. I want to see kids playing with their parents, with their dad or maybe with their grandpa or something. I mean, my 70-year-old dad flew with me and my 20-year-old son the other day. That was just so much fun because each of us had our own helicopters. We're flying along. We come up over a ridge and all of a sudden we're just getting lit up. And it was just so much fun. That's what I want to see. Speaking of getting lit up, my chain gun is no longer operational here. I think I'm going to set it down and let's jump into another helicopter. I'm going to try to set it down on the other side of this ridge and find a good landing spot. While I do that, why don't I talk about all the features that I've built into the game so far. So I have some damage modeling built in. Of course, this chain gun just went haywire because it got shot. That's part of the game. You can get hit a lot of different places and it'll knock out systems. Not every system will be damaged right now. It'll say it's damaged, but it doesn't actually model the damage. I'm going to work on that probably in 0.5. Like 0.4 is going to be a little more about building a game loop. That's my next alpha version. I spent so much time on the flight modeling, making sure that it felt really good. I really like flying helicopters in Battlefield Vietnam. If you ever played that old version of Battlefield, probably 20 years old now or more. And so it feels kind of like those helicopters in some ways. I also have like the terrain data is real terrain data. So I've actually sourced the terrain data from an area in Northwest Oregon for this particular map. It's 50 kilometers by 50 kilometers, so it's quite large. You can fly for quite a while before hitting the edge of the map. The radar system I've spent a tremendous amount of time on. It's not just a radar system of like picking up what you can see, but it also has kind of characteristics around, are you harder to see if there's trees around you or if you're close to the terrain, or maybe there's something beyond you. So it kind of, there's like some noise in the system, the ground mapping radar. That's another thing. When AI pilots are flying, there's like a radar that samples ahead of them. Mountains and hills are coming up and they'll actually pull up and fly over it in a realistic way. That took a long time to really perfect and get right. They do a good job of kind of keeping pace with you. Sometimes they fly a little bit too aggressively or maybe not aggressively enough. So I'll be tweaking that as time goes on. But I'm actually very happy with their formation keeping skill. They're really, really good at sticking with you even if you're flying really crazy. They find a way to kind of stay with you, which I'm very proud of. Like that was not easy to do. A lot of the work that I've done has been really on the programming side because that's what I'm good at. I will, of course, eventually invest quite a bit into the art. A lot of it has really just been around programming and making it work as efficiently as possible. I've put a lot of time into trying to make it work on older machines, maybe just like this thing runs on a Mac. I'm literally, this was recorded on a Mac. I'm building the game on a Mac, and you can play it on a Windows machine. It works great. You can play it on Linux. Works great on Linux. I've got a buddy who plays with me. He's got a Linux machine, and it runs great on that. I have like the HUD, of course, the heads-up display, and this does not look exactly like an Apache heads-up display, but that's because I don't really like the real Apache heads-up display. I want it to be a little bit more useful. Well, I mean, I'm sure it's useful, but I want it to be designed a little better. So I've taken some liberties with that. I may try to make things a little closer to realistic at some point, but a lot of this is just based around making it fun. It's just I want it to be really fun. I don't know how many times I've said that in this video, but that's a big thing. When you get hit by, bullets and cannon fire and stuff, you'll actually be knocked back a bit. That already works. Like you get kind of knocked around, and it's kind of fun. It's like, bam, you just got like knocked sideways. And I'll also add some visual effects, like you maybe your vision goes a little blurry or Maybe you get a little like heartbeat sound or something like that. I don't know. It's got to feel good. Depends on what happens. Like if you actually get wounded, I think that would be really cool. One of the things I've worked very hard on, and you've probably seen it as I'm flying around, is when you're in the cockpit view, which is the primary place you're going to be flying. I mean, you can always jump into the TADS view, but that's going to be just a little bit less convenient. It's very good for some types of things, but most of your time is actually going to be inside the cockpit. The camera automatically shifts based on where it thinks you need to be looking. So if you bank left to like turn left, it will actually look left a little bit just to kind of look around the corner, right? If you've targeted an enemy and it shifts its view so it can try to keep the enemy in view and also kind of keep an eye out the front of the helicopter where you're flying. If you apply rudder pedals left and right, like yawing, turning left and right, it kind of sways in the seat a little bit realistically. This is all stuff I put a tremendous amount of time into to try to make it feel really realistic. And I'm very happy with it so far. There are some things that I think I'll have to tweak as time goes on, or maybe give some options so that people can kind of choose. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. The chain gun aiming algorithm, which of course you can aim yourself. In fact, with these tanks here, let me just show you kind of what I mean. You can aim, you can have your AI co-pilot aim, or you can aim it yourself. So let's just check this out. On a real Apache, the chain gun can be connected to the helmet of either pilot, the main pilot or the co-pilot gunner, and wherever they look, that's where the chain gun aims. So if you had something like a track IR system or are using a mouse to aim, which I was doing just there, I switched my hand off of the keyboard, grabbed the mouse, and pressed 1 to take control of the chain gun, and then I just aimed with the mouse. Of course, track IR would be even cooler because you could actually turn your head and aim with your head. And I did this with my VR system. I did get this working in VR, by the way, with a Meta Quest 3. That allows you to aim the chain gun, and then you just pull the trigger and light them up, and that was kind of fun. One thing I am just absolutely thrilled with is the gorgeous visuals that the game shows you when, especially during the kind of dawn and dusk time. This is the dawn, and so of course the game is into the dawn, and it's quite appropriate. But I just love circling outside the helicopter and looking into the distance. Because this is real terrain data, it looks so much more realistic than auto-generated kind of repeating pattern terrain that you might have, or whatever like a human might try to come up with. This is like real. This is what the actual coastal range Oregon looks like. And so we're flying into this valley here, not too far from the town of Mist, Oregon. And you can kind of just see, like, it's just amazing. Now, our helicopter isn't doing the best. We have both of our engines are hit, and they're not doing that great. So I'm trying to keep up speed as much as I can. Flying kind of high here, so I'll have to pull it back down. But I might fast forward a bit here just to where we get to come in for a landing. If you've stuck with me this long in the video, I really appreciate it. I know that a lot of YouTube like videos, you're not going to stick around for a full 20 minutes or whatever this ends up being once I finish editing it, but I appreciate it. Please do hit that like and subscribe button if you want to follow along. Of course, it really is, I mean, I'm just an indie dev, you know, this is my first real game that I'm putting together. I appreciate everybody who supports me in all the different ways that you do. And I appreciate you coming along on this mission. It was a lot of fun. I hope to be able to fly with you sometime. Until next time, I'm Jamin. This is Into the Dawn, signing off.